All right, today we're breaking down a story about ambition, travel, and the search for love. And in doing so, we're going to uncover a really powerful lesson about what we're all actually looking for in our relationships today.
So let's kick things off with a huge question, one that I think a lot of us wrestle with. When you're looking for love, what's the right move? Do you go for that passionate, all-consuming intensity, or is it better to find a quiet, stable connection? We're going to dive into this whole dilemma through the eyes of our protagonist, a super successful tech executive named Ava Sinclair.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll get to know Ava and what she's looking for. Then it's off to Milan for a fiery romance, and after that, a totally different vibe over in Kyoto. Then we'll put the two head-to-head, fire versus water, and see what it all means in her final realization.
Okay, so let's start with Ava's quest. I mean, on paper, this woman has it all figured out. She's a top keynote speaker in the wearable tech space, commanding these huge rooms all over Europe. But, behind all that professional success, there's this nagging feeling that something is missing. A real, genuine, personal connection.
Her search for that connection kicks off in Milan, and here she finds something defined by pure, unadulterated passion. But, as we're about to see, that kind of fire can be incredibly volatile. This is where she meets Marco, a Michelin-starred chef, and he is the perfect archetype for fiery intensity. He's so captivating, so confident, and his world of high-stakes cooking is the complete opposite of her buttoned-up corporate life.
And their connection was, a complete whirlwind. Right from the start, his confidence just pulls her in. It leads to these amazing late-night talks over wine, and the chemistry between them is just off the charts. For Ava, it's an escape. It makes her feel totally, completely alive in a way her high-pressure career just doesn't.
But, that same fire that was so magnetic, it wasn't long before the cracks started to show. Ava sees Marco just screaming at his kitchen staff. And when she calls him on it, he brushes it off with this line, saying it's just what you have to do to achieve perfection. And that's a huge red flag. His passion and his volatility are two sides of the same coin.
And then comes the moment where it all just shatters. They're having a nice, quiet dinner, and Ava makes a playful joke that his pasta could use a little more salt. His reaction is anything but playful. He snaps back with this. And with that one sentence, he doesn't just draw a line in the sand, he builds a wall between their worlds. The very passion that brought them together is now the thing tearing them apart.
Just a week later, talk about whiplash. Ava's work takes her to Kyoto, and the connection she finds there is the absolute polar opposite of Milan. It's not defined by fire, but by a deep sense of calm.
Here, she meets Hiroshi. He's a brilliant architect, and he just embodies the serene, mindful presence. He is a total contrast to Marco's explosive energy.
Hiroshi introduces her to a traditional tea ceremony, which is honestly the perfect metaphor for who he is. Every single movement is so deliberate, so intentional. Every moment is meaningful. The whole point is just to be present. For him, this isn't just a ritual, it's a way of life. And Ava is completely captivated by this sense of peace.
But here's the thing. Even with this clear, deep admiration between them, these barriers start to creep in. Their communication styles are from different planets. Hiroshi is so reserved and indirect that Ava's left constantly guessing, totally uncertain of how he actually feels. The very serenity she found so attractive also created this wall of ambiguity that she just couldn't break through.
Okay, so this brings us to the core of it all. Let's put these two relationships right next to each other and really compare them. It all boils down to fire versus water.
And when you lay it out like this, the trade-offs are crystal clear, right? With Marco's fire, you get that incredible passion, but it comes with volatility and conflict. With Hiroshi's water, you get that wonderful calm, but it comes with ambiguity and emotional distance. Ultimately, the greatest strength of each relationship was also its fatal flaw. One was just too explosive to last, and the other was too quiet to ever really get started.
So, after all that, the fire, the water, what's the big takeaway for Ava? Well, this brings us to her final game-changing realization.
So, there she is, alone in Paris, and she finally has a moment to just think. And it clicks. She realized she wanted parts of both of them. She loved Marco's passion and she craved Hiroshi's serenity. But the fundamental problem wasn't with them. It was that she was always trying to fit herself into their worlds instead of looking for someone who could fit into hers.
And then she's on the phone with her friend Ryan, and he drops this piece of wisdom that just changes everything. He says this to her: "You don't need to change. You just need someone who can handle all of you. And that reframes her entire search. It's not about finding the perfect qualities in a partner. It's about finding a partner who can embrace all the pieces, the good and the messy, that make her who she is.
And that, right there, is the core lesson of this entire journey. It turns the whole idea of finding love on its head. It's not an audition to get a part in someone else's life. It's about finding a co-star for the life you are already building for yourself.
And all of this leaves us with one final, thought-provoking question to chew on. After traveling the world looking for something new and exciting, what if the right connection isn't some far-off destination you have to discover? What if it's a constant presence in your life that you've simply been overlooking all along?